Welcome to Canada's Social Changemakers. My name is Justin Douglas, and today we're here with Montreal-based producer Louis-Philippe Rochon to talk about his experiences in Canadian cinema and his most recent film, Race, the Jessie Owens Story.
Thank you for being here, Louis-Philippe.
Thank you.
So, like me, you have a background in law, and somehow you ended up in this entertainment industry. So, how did that come about?
Well, it started, when I was studying law. Every night after studying, I was going to see a film. And I was a big film watcher. I love films since I'm a kid and I'm young. And so then I finished my law degree, I did my bar, and then I practiced for 6 months, and then I decided that I wanted to go to work on a film. And finally ended up on the television series at the lowest level, like a PA.
Okay.
On a television series. That was not an easy one, but leaving your office with the secretary, your three-piece suit, and then you're the PA doing everything for everybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, but it was great, and I loved it. And then I became an assistant director, and I was an assistant director for many years. I became a producer 20 years ago. I'm in the business for 35 years. So.
Wow. That's great.
Thank you.
And working your way up from the bottom to the top when you already had the law degree is something that I understand and can appreciate very well. So I think it's really cool. But let's talk about Race for a minute, which is your most recent movie that's just come out. It's a pretty interesting story, and it addresses all kinds of human rights issues. But why do you think this story has not been told before, and why do you think it's important now?
I don't know why it wasn't told before. It's a very strange thing because he's a real hero and like almost forgotten hero in the world, and especially in USA, of course. Because
maybe just give us a quick recap of the movie for people who haven't seen it.
It's Jessie Owens is one of the best sprinter and jumper for his time, and it took many years before they could beat his performance after the Olympics. 25 years, I think, before they could beat it. And so he was a poor black guy from Cleveland, and finally, but he was a good sprinter. So they took him to a different university, and then he had a very good coach, and he went to the Olympics. So these Olympics were very controversial at that time, and especially that Hitler was like, we know Hitler, so the way he was, and he was on his going up as a dictator and all that. So anyway, that was very difficult for him. Some people wanted to stop him to go, and some people wanted to boycott the Olympics, like we did in 1982. So that kind of thing. So the story is the guy who went there and won 4 gold medals in front of Hitler, thinking that the supremacy of white people. So that was a very difficult moment for Adolf. And but for him it was like he said that in the film. When you sprint like that, when you run like that, you're not white, you're not black, you're just like free. And he's looking for the freedom, human being free for 10 seconds.
Wow.
That's the reference for the movie in French.
Yeah.
It's called 10 seconds of freedom.
10 secondes de liberté.
Yeah.
Different titles. That's
different
great.
Titles in French and English, of course.
Well, I was lucky enough to see the Montreal premiere of the movie, and so I was blown away. I was actually almost in tears by the end of the movie. I thought it was just really powerful. But there's so many parallels of what the human rights issues that were going on in that era and things that are going on in our own world today. So what do you sort of see as the parallels between what was happening then and what we can draw from that today?
To me, the film today it's very, very, very accurate. It's a story in 1936, but it's a story can happen today too. Absolutely. And it's completely on the same track, everybody wants to protect their job, protect themselves. They're afraid of the other one, and they're not very open lately. And politically, that's the way that it works. So there's people that makes it happen and say what people want to hear. But it's always ending in a very scary and bad situation to me.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why the film, to me, is very accurate and really on it of his time, actually.
Yeah, and important for people to think about today because it's such an important story that I don't think a lot of people really know. And so I think this is going to help educate a lot of people on who Jessie Owens was and what some of the issues were at that time.
Exactly.
And what some of the parallels are.
And also, for Jessie Owens, there was one thing very different. It's when he went to Germany, there was no segregation. So the athletes' quarter were for black and white and yellow and whatever the way it was said at that time. And which was not the case in his country. But on the other hand, there was like all that racism that Hitler didn't want to shake his hand after his win. Because he was like, for Hitler, he was not a real human. Right. He was a black person. So it was a different kind of racism, but it's still racism.
Absolutely. The reception has been amazing on the film. How has it been like for you, just to receive all the positive feedback?
Oh well, it was a long. To make that film was a long journey actually. So the film was presented to me by a producer, two producers from France, Jean-Charles Lévy and Luc Dayan. They developed that film for many years, and Jean-Charles did some co-production here before. So he came to me and my associate for that film, Dominique Seguin at that time, to see if we can go and do it here and with incentive of Canadian incentive and this and that. So it's actually a Canadian film, and it's a majority co-production Canada with Germany. And so we're like 67% Canadian and the rest 33% Germany, whatever. So anyway, but they've developed the story and all that. And I love the story. I read the script and I said, wow, I want to work on this. Yeah. But it was not an easy film to produce. There was there's no subsidies. It's only tax credit, international sales. Wow. And gap financing with the bank and on the sales and all that. So that was the way to build it. So it was very not easy, but we got.
But you did it.
We did it,
and very well.
And it's in the ranking now. It's on the sales. It's number 10 for the box office.
Wow.
On domestic. Domestic means Canada and USA. Yeah. It's the number 10 of all time. As a Canadian film.
As a number 10 Canadian of all time.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
so
that's great.
We have to compete with Porky's and Meatball, things like that.
Yeah.
But, that's...
wow, that's great. That's quite an accomplishment.
So up to now, we're like 27 million box office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Speaking of Canadian productions, you are also the producer of Les Pêcheurs on Radio Canada. So you have lots of experience working in Anglophone cinema. You have a lot of experience working in Francophone cinema. Can you comment a little bit on the differences? Is there a lot of cultural differences working in different languages?
Of course. But it's different, depends. When we did Race was produced in Montreal, so the crew are bilingual. So it's still a little bit of, French, French mixed with English and all that. So, but of course we don't do it. We do it. No, still, you make a film, you love a film, you want to do it, and everybody puts all what they have in 12 weeks, and then you do the editing, and then it lasts for years.
Yeah.
But no, it's very different. But for television, it's very different. First of all, the budget are not the same. They're a lot lower in French Canada because the market is smaller. But we make very, very big audience, which is a different thing because Quebec was able to produce or organize like a small star system with the actors from here and this and that. So with the prints and all that. So. Magazine, and so it works very well. So, but it's yes, I did two for the last. We just finished the 4th season of Les Pêcheurs,
which is very.
Which is I co-produce. I produce with the copyright is Juste pour Rire, Just for Life. They have the copyright. They started, but they asked me to produce the film with them, and so it's we just finished 4th season. We're starting. The author is writing the 5th season now. And I did before that. I did another one called Conseil d'administration CA. Okay. We'd call in English boardroom or something like that. And we did 4 seasons with this one too. So they were all a half an hour comedy.
I've seen a few of the episodes, but the humor to me is very different than English humor.
You need to adapt to where you are and the cultural reference. It's always there. Like for Les Pêcheurs, you know, it's Martin Petit is a stand-up comic, and he's inviting all other stand-up comics to come to his cottage to go fishing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then things happen, and they never go. No, sometimes they go fishing, but there's always things happening even when they go fishing.
Right, Les Pêcheurs, if you don't know, the fishermen in...
Yeah, the fishermen. Yeah. So, but everybody that comes on the show, they all stand-up comic, friends of him, so they play themselves.
Right.
So they all together. So you know, people know them very well, and they play themselves. But everything is written.
Okay.
So it's.
But it's very situational and it's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's written. Martin Petit is writing every script, thinking of who's going to play in it.
Okay.
It's very personalized. It's not everybody. It's not like, oh, we'll see who's going to play that. No, it's written for this guy or this woman and this and that. So it's very precise and personalized.
What do you think about when you're picking a project?
You know, I receive a lot of scripts and I read a lot of them, and but basically, I have to fall for it. I need to love the story. And but I love to do feel-good movies, movie that you leave the theater and you still have a little something with you that you can keep for a couple of days sometimes, and also films that will make audience. So it's people would say popular, but it's. I don't like the word because it's pejorative to say that, but in the same way, it's not because you have a big audience that the film is light and there's nothing in it. You know, you can produce very good things and people like it.
Yeah.
And that's my goal, basically. Half an hour comedy show, comedy, people think it's easy, but comedy is very difficult.
Yeah.
It's not something easy. And it has to be very well done, a very good director, and the writing, everything is well placed. And when you shoot it, even if sometimes it's easy to say, oh, let's add this, let's add that. Basically, most of the time you need to stick to the script because it has been very well placed, and that's the way it works. And so making good thing that people feel good about it.
And sometimes you have a hit, and sometimes you don't. But as long as you love it, then that's the best.
Yes, but making a film or even a television series, you put a lot of energy and yourself in it, so you need to like it.
Yeah.
And if I decided to work in film business, it's to work on things I like.
Okay. Yeah, well, you have to, absolutely.
Because if not, I would have stayed a lawyer and probably make more money. But
yeah. Well, being a Québécois artist and a Canadian artist, where do you think we do well at supporting our own industry, and where do you think we can improve?
I think we do well. I can talk mostly about film, about the Quebec side, because I think in Quebec we were able, and Canada, but we're able to produce with our subsidies and all that, produce incredible director. And the proof is there's a guy called Denis Villeneuve is #1 now, and a lot of other one that like Pods that goes to shoot other television series in Ireland, and so they're very well known, in USA and around the world. So we have very good director, and Jean-Marc Vallée also. I can name a lot of them, but we're able to produce these guys that. They're incredible good director, and they can make it on a big film, big budget. But the thing is, we need to develop now. It's to be able to have enough money to be able to have these guys producing their own film in Quebec or Canada, and that's the next step. So we need to focus on being able to bring the money, big enough budget for them. And looking for the international market, of course.
Yeah, because I feel like Quebec, because of the French language, is very good at recognizing its own artists and celebrating them. I feel like English Canada has not had the same success because the American market is so close. it feels like a lot of Canadian talent just automatically goes down to the US,
Yeah.
or if they stay, they're not able to have the same sort of recognition or whatever at home. Is that?
No, I think that's true. The problem I would say with English Canada is because you speak the same language than the American.
Yeah.
So when you have a big success, then it's easy to jump the fence and make it bigger the other side.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't let English Canada to create its own star system in a way.
Exactly.
A little bit, but it exists. I think a lot. If you go like on the theater side.
Yeah, the festival, Shakespeare.
Festival of Shakespeare and all
Yeah.
that. I think that there's a lot of recognition on that side because it's very specific and but it's very good. But on the film business, it's more difficult, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more American television series made in Toronto and Vancouver. So there's a lot of English Canadian actors work on this, and they make, them funny people know them, and so that's. I don't know how to resolve that.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, because on the
Yeah.
one hand we want the American money and the business, but on the other hand we want to be able to recognize Canadian and Canadian artistry and Canadian successes. So yeah, it's definitely, I don't know what the answer is either, but something we definitely have to think about in the entertainment industry.
But in the same time, the industry is changing, and the industry is more global, and there's a lot of different platforms where you can distribute your films. So the market is open. It's different. But now there's like Netflix.
Yeah. Amazon originals.
Spending a lot of money now, so they're like the new studio in a way. So
Yeah.
it's
a changing
But I think
world.
they see it more. They look at it more globally, and so the industry is changing in a global sense. You need to be yourself into that, and at the same time use it.
What advice would you have for young Canadians who want to get involved in the production side, the artistic side of the entertainment industry in Canada?
That's a very good question.
You don't have to answer.
No, I will answer.
You can say, no, I don't want to answer, I'm done.
There's one thing. There's a lot of new platforms, but all these new platforms, they need content. And so I think you need to work hard on content. And it's very funny because I was at the American Film Market a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying in one of the conference, we cannot be only producer now, we need to be a content producer. And to myself, I was like, as a Canadian and a Québécois producer, it's the base. You need to look at the content. It's not only a business deal. And so for young writer, young director, it's the quality of your content.
Yeah.
That's because there's one thing I have to say is sometimes you can have a small budget, but if you have a strong story and technically it's not a perfect film, if the story is good, people don't mind.
Right.
Sometimes you can have the perfect technical film, beautiful, wonderful, with a very boring or bad story. So then you see you look at the images, it's beautiful, but that doesn't give you anything. So I think the quality of the content is very important.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's always incredible to be able to chat with interesting Canadians who are doing really interesting things. And as I said when I was in the theater watching the race, I was so moved by it. So it's such an honor to be able to speak with you today. And thank you so much for all of the amazing work that you do.
Pleasure, Justin. Thank you so much.